Everyone talks about the final term like it is one big goodbye, but it doesn't really happen like that. It happens in smaller ways. A calendar slowly running out of boxes, a classroom you suddenly realize you may never sit in again, a teacher saying good luck and meaning much more than the words. A friend asking, let's go to lunch, not realizing it's for the last time. The final term doesn't announce itself. It hides inside ordinary days. And then, one morning, you look around and realize, this is the last page you get to put here. The summer chapter began with color, not the loud kind. The kind that comes from fabric, food, music, movement, and people recognizing something of themselves in a celebration. Nauryz filled the school with tradition, but it never felt like something kept behind glass. It was alive. In the performances, in the dress parade, in the games, in the smell of plov, in parents, pupils, and staff moving through the same spaces, sharing the same day. And maybe that is what Nauryz does best. It reminds us that renewal is not about starting again from nothing. It is about carrying what matters forward. At the start of April, Silver Duke of Edinburgh Award participants spent 2 days by the Ille River for their practice trip. They hiked through the steppe, carrying their own equipment, worked with maps, built their camping skills, and learned what is meant to keep going when comfort is no longer part of the plan. There's something honest about that kind of challenge. Maybe that is one of the quiet lessons school gives us. Not every path will be familiar, but we learn how to move anyway. In the middle of deadlines, revision, and exam pressure, Year 13 gave the final term a little chaos. Haus Spirit Week turned ordinary days into something much less ordinary. Swap a tie Monday, wig, sunglasses, and tattoo Tuesday. Water gun fight and anything but a backpack Wednesday. Crazy hair Thursday. When your final year is full of pressure or what comes next, you need moments that are pure fun. Just laughter, just one more reason to remember what it felt like to be year 13 together. A-level season has its own atmosphere. The conversations, the mornings, the space between one exam and the next. People speak more quietly. In sports hall stops looking like a hall and starts looking like the place where years of work are about to be tested. There were days when I felt ready, and days when I absolutely didn't. But that is the strange thing about exams. You never walk in as the perfect version of yourself. You walk in as you are, tired, nervous, hoping you prepared enough. And then you sit down, and you hear the words, you can now open the paper. Around the same time, the future stopped being abstract. For months, it had been something I talked about in interviews, essays, applications, and late-night conversations. Then, it became real. Offers from UCLA, Warwick, King's College London, and Bocconi. And finally, a decision. Bocconi University in Italy, where I will study international economics and finance. Suddenly, the future has a city, a campus, a course, a suitcase that still needs packing. For so long, I thought leaving would begin after graduation, but maybe it began much earlier. With the first application, the first offer, the first time I imagined myself somewhere else and didn't feel afraid. Graduation day did not feel real at first. The gowns, the diplomas, the families taking photos, the speeches we memorized and still somehow felt unprepared to give. But for most of the ceremony, I think I was still trying to understand what it meant. Then came the graduation walk, and that was when it landed. We walked through the schools while pupils stood along the road clapping for us. Some were smiling, some were waving. Some probably had no idea how quickly their own turn would come. And as we walked along the past, present, and the future. It was only a few minutes, but it felt like walking through 13 years at once. Then we stepped outside, caps went up, and for 1 second, everyone looked up. Speech day felt different this year. Usually, it feels like a celebration of everything the school has achieved. This time, it also felt like a final report from a place we were about to leave. Names were called, awards were given, teachers smiled from the side of the stage, pupils clapped for each other in that half-formal, half-chaotic way only school can manage. And then came the House Cup. Congratulations, Kipling, a brilliant way to close the year. And then, after the ceremonies, the exams, the speeches, and the official goodbyes, there was prom. Music, photographs, familiar faces, and everyone dancing, all dressed up. People you remember from classrooms and corridors suddenly look ready for the next chapter. One final goodbye. I used to think the end of school would feel dramatic, but it is not really like that. The end comes in details. A locker being emptied, a final message in a group chat, a teacher you keep meaning to thank properly. And maybe that is why the scrapbook matters. Not because it can hold everything. It can't. It cannot hold every conversation, every early morning, every joke, every mistake, every tiny moment that somehow became important. But it can hold enough. Enough to remember what this year felt like. I don't think you ever fully leave a place like this, but some parts of you stay behind. In the classroom where you first felt brave, in the house you learned to lead, in the friendships that made ordinary days feel brighter. So this is the final page, not perfect, not complete, but real, and maybe that is enough.